Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good morning and welcome to my podcast. I'm here to fight CPS and I'm Bob Pace. And I want to warmly welcome you to a podcast about the Child Protection Agency. That's what I call CPS. It may have different acronyms in different counties and states across the country, but it's easy for me to say one, CPS. And that translates to the Child Protection System. It's a branch of social services that is mandated by Congress our children from neglect and abuse. We have a lot of children out there that need to be protected, and there are cases where they are being killed and hurt. And that's not the way to treat children. Furthermore, this branch of social services is supposed to help out with aid to family in the forms of food and clothing and shelter and transportation, education, and medical, and also help you find a job if you need a job. So this social services has a lot of functions it needs to do, and it's really, they supposedly got the best interests of your child. And if it's necessary for them to take your children because of the danger they may be in, then they're supposed to do what's called family reunification, meaning they put the family back together, because studies have proven that the best parents are the biological parents. And parents can go and get training or additional help, and can go through programs of treatment for drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and so forth. Now, you found this podcast. Yeah, you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace, and I am broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. I'm on Monday through Sunday, and I come on typically at 10 a.m. in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, and 7 p.m. in the evening, Pacific Standard Time. There are occasions from time to time I'll be on different times. This morning I was a little bit late due to the fact that there was another podcast that needed to go, a short one, and that had to be done. So I delayed my morning podcasts, and so now you see me now. And on tonight, normally I'd be on at 7, but I'm on at 4 o'clock this afternoon because I have Friday Night Lights. It's the high school football season, and my son and the football team are performing tonight, so I'm going to go them. So I come on again at 4 o'clock this afternoon. 4 o'clock this afternoon. And I'm glad I do this show a lot, because many of you come on and then you wait till the tail end of the show, and then you wanted to say something and run out of time, and I have another podcasts, or some of you don't know what to put in words or how to phrase a question thing. Don't worry, don't fret. This is supposed to be a friendly podcast, supposed to reach out and you do what you feel like doing. It's a horrible, horrible thing that you're in there in the first place. I too had succumbed to CPS. I've been fighting them for 15 years. And so it is really a very difficult agency to understand. And I hate to tell you that the majority, it seems, of CPS cases are very corrupt. It seems apparently in my case, and I was in the Orange County child protection system in California, and they were only interested in money, making money off families. And how do you think they make the money? Well, it's pretty easy. The agency gets the money from the federal government, and then it's passed on to the state and then down to the county. And the problem being, it seems, is that there's no transparency, no accountability. The money is freely given. There's no board of directors or trustees or supervisors. There's no watchdog of the agency. They can do pretty much what they want. And in my case, they violated my civil rights and constitutional rights. And when I say this, I'm speaking from over 500 people I've talked to. I've been doing this for over a year now. And I've talked to every state in the United States, including Washington, D.C. And I've also talked to a lot of places around the world, about 15 countries. Countries like Bangladesh, New Delhi, India. Recently was Lebanon. They came on and texted some questions. And then Saudi Arabia. Those are two Middle Eastern countries. Then down to Africa, I've had Liberia, which is on the west coast of Africa and North Africa. And in fact, a guy just recently called me again and not call me, but text me again. So there has been several times that the gentleman has come in and talked about issues of CPS. CPS is affecting people worldwide and also in the United States. And then further down in Africa, Rwanda, which is near Lake Victoria. It was a terrible country that went through civil war in 1994, where over 1 million people were slaughtered and murdered and killed. And on top of that, 500 females were raped. Raped so bad they used people infected with AIDS to do the raping and hoped to wipe out the population. It was sad. And now they've regrouped and it seems like it's stable. But Africa has had a lot of tragedies there. There is a lot of culture mixing and it's like it can be sometimes rough. Then down to Mozambique, I've heard from Mozambique, which is on the east side of Africa, opposite Madagascar, and then I've heard from the West Province on the west coast of South Africa. Then moving up north, I've heard from Europe, and I heard from England, Scotland, and Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and then also heard from Denmark and Sweden. And it goes on because we go across the pond to North America, and I've heard from a lot of the Canadians from different provinces like Vancouver and British Columbia or Alberta or other provinces in Canada, both the East and the West Coast and so forth. And of course, I've already said about the U.S. I've heard from, some remote places and including the Native American people, the first immigrants to North America. The tribes like the Lakota Sioux at the Rosebud Reservation, or the Pinewood next door, which is one of the most porous reservation or porous community in the United States. And then the Osage in Oklahoma, and then the Cheyenne in Oklahoma. And the Cheyenne originally had um, started out in Florida, and then they were relocated. But all these entities are having troubles with CPS. And a lot of them are through no fault of the parents, or the parents unfortunately lost a job, or the COVID did something to them, or the floods. We've had those terrible, terrible rains and the rivers swollen that have wiped out so many places on the East Coast of the United States. And there's families now without homes, and there's a lot of pressure by social services to get those families in homes and protect their children. And I think sometimes it is sad to say that they're more interested in the money aspects than they are really helping out families. We go south of the border to Mexico, and I've had a man that was looking for his daughters in Louisiana, and he called from Mexico City, and we helped locate his daughters, and that was a good thing. And then we go down to South America, and I've had Grenada, which is a coastal country east of Venezuela, north of Brazil, on the east coast of South America. Then across the Pacific, I've had the land down under, Australia. And I've had Australia several times, from the Sydney area on the east coast of Australia, which is called the Gold Coast, and then the south coast of Australia near Melbourne in the province of Victoria, or not province, the state of Victoria. It's so confusing how some people call provinces and states and so forth. But I've had an international representation in here because all people that are going through CPS issues are welcome. I'm an international podcast because this goes worldwide. I'm on the World Wide Web, so anybody with the internet can tune in and find me. It's really amazing how else go there. And I want to say hello to Akima Rich. Oh, KK. Hey, hi, KK. Akima Richardson is a mother that has been fighting for her children's, and she's in Brooklyn, New York. And she probably has an update. I'd like to hear from her. And then there's Jessica G. And Jessica, hello, Jessica G. I don't know where you're from, Jessica, or if you've been on the show before. I may have forgotten, but if you could tell me your city or your county and the state, that would be great. Or if you're from a country, then that's great too. You can just tell me your province or your state or so forth. Now, Akima says, I'll put it in the thing so we all can see it. She says it's all about the mighty dollar, always has been, always will be. Yeah, I'm afraid that's all about money. CPS has found what money is, and good money, and so that's what they want to do, is make money off you guys that unfortunately are going through hard times. I too. It's funny. I had worked to the age 60. I'd worked 45 years, and through no fault of my own, I had lost my job. And it was largely due, I worked in construction, and I had a lot of contracts in civil engineering and highway projects for the state of California. And they were awarded to me, but they could not issue them to me because they needed the money to help California from going bankrupt. Now, I don't know if $53 million, that's still a lot of money, but I guess they needed that to help the state from going bankrupt, like Detroit was. This is in 2010. We had some issues with the bank in 2007 with predatory loans and going bellied up, and I had lost half my savings because of bad investment by my group of individuals that oversee my retirement plan at my work. So I was always experiencing a 50% loss of working for 45 years. And then I had a predatory loan, which I didn't know. Well, I kind of wondered because how I would qualify for the place I was living in. I was a beautiful home. It was close to the beach, about a mile from the beach. I live in Surf City, USA, south of Los Angeles, south of Long Beach, north of Newport Beach, and live a couple blocks from the beach. And so the home that I had was really nice. It was a new, modern kind of home, and I had very expensive payments to make. And losing a job, well, I had to close my doors in general contracting because the owner could not afford to keep the doors open because with no income coming in through no fault of myself because I generated the sales, I looked good on the books, but I didn't have the income in. So I was struggling to maintain my home somehow with a predatory loan, a loan that you overqualify because they inflate your wages. They had my ridiculous wages doubled up what normally I make. I made good money, don't get me wrong. But, with my retirement cut in half and have to pay the mortgage, I eventually had to sell my home, unfortunately, because I needed the money to hire an attorney. Because you're going to find out, as one of my rules are, that you need a real attorney, not a court appointed attorney, not a criminal attorney, but a juvenile family dependency background attorney that knows dependency law. That's the area you're in, dependency law. And right now, the majority of the cases that I've talked to, and myself included, they're not interested in returning your children. They're interested in actually kidnapping and trafficking your children into foster care. And hopefully they'll get adopted. And for 18 years, that's the max they can go, they will take the money. And in my case, it was $20,000 per month per child. I had three of them that were taken from me. I have a family of six and three olders and three youngers. And so it was really kind of a hard thing when I found out that they were collecting $60,000 a month for three children. On top of that, if you have 100 families with three children each, that's 300 children, that's $6 million. So it's $1 trillion business. They don't care about you or your family or whether or not you get your children back. They're hoping that you're experiencing hard times like myself. I eventually had to sell my home and then I lived in the streets for a little bit. I learned what it is to live out of an RX-7, which I don't recommend anybody doing because you have no horizontal sleeping area in an RX-7. You have kind of a semi horizontal, but it's not comfortable and it's very cramped in a sports car. And I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot, played football and rugby. And so, um, you know, uh, being in a sports car is kind of hard. Um, and hello, let me see. What's the latest, Akima? Um, oh no, you were telling me you had him on the ropes and it was going good. I'm sorry to hear that. I really am, Akima Richardson. That is terrible. And so I welcome all you into my room. Thank you, Deli, for the thumbs up. In this room, you can actually um, take notes and listen and do emojis. That's where you put a smiley face up or a heart or a thumbs up, as someone has done. And you can send me stars. You can also check to see if you um, want To follow me, I would like to do that. Also, notifications when I'm live is really, really good there. Now, I'm waiting to hear, Akima, what's your update. Jessica, I still don't know where you're from, and that's okay. If you don't want to share where you're from, that's okay. And a second way to interact in this podcast is you can text me messages, which some of you are doing. You can text your comments, or you can text a question. All I ask is that you show them your first name, and you show the city or the county that your case was involved in, and then the state. And again, if you're from a country, all it has to be is your first name and your city, and then your province or state, and the country where you're from. I also like you to include something about your case so I can understand a little bit about where you're at, and also compare the pockets of information I have from everybody located in different parts of the country. Things like, what is your family makeup? Are you a husband, wife, or girlfriend, boyfriend, or lovers, or a partnership? Also, what are the ages and the sexes of the children? And then, are you a single parent fighting this alone, or both parents involved? Are there also additional parents, because maybe the children have different biological parents, So if you can tell me that, that would be great. Also, the allegations. Why were they taken besides neglect and abuse? The more details, it would help. And then, how were they taken? Are they in your Are they in foster care? Were they taken from your home? Did they come knocking at your door? Did they call? Did you go to the agency? Did you turn over their child? Did you talk to them? Those are things I like to know. And then lastly, where are you at on your case? Are you at the dependency hearing? Are you at the 6-month hearing? Are you doing family reunification? That would really be great. And so if you could do that, that'd be super. So that's the second way of interacting with this podcast. And then a third way, since we're talking about how to do that, is you can be a guest on my podcast. You can be a guest on my podcast, and it has lots of benefits. I can take up to 9 guests on the podcast and have 9 total of 10 windows displaying all of us, and we can talk among ourselves and can help each other, and you can share your story. All you have to do is contact my show producer. Her name is Grace, and she is responsible for the show. And I really appreciate all the things that she does and how she helps me out. And so many kudos or thanks to Grace. And you can email her at grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. Just email her the time and the day you want to be on my show. And that's easy. You just say Sunday morning, or Sunday evening, or Saturday morning, or Saturday evening, Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening. And she'll take care of the rest. She'll send you a link that'll help you get it on StreamYard. Save that link in case you fall off, because the link is still good for the show and get you back on. She'll also help you with the rules of what to do and not to do on a podcast, such as there's no smoking or eating, and we do not use the names of children, judges, or social workers on this podcast. And then she'll talk about lighting and how they use your computer. It's preferable if you use a computer. If you don't have one, a phone is okay. A phone is okay. And so she will respond to you and help you out. So that's the third way of being on the podcast. Now, the fourth way is to call in, and I have a live direct line. My office number is 626 698 0990, and it goes to my phone, and the office uses Vonage. It's a phone application, if you're familiar with it. And so it'll ring my phone, and then I can put it on speaker so everybody can hear about your case, and you can talk about your case or ask questions or whatnot, and we'll try to help you. Now, um, the phone number is live, but you can only call me during my show hours. If you call me before my show hours or after my show hours, I can't talk to you. Right now, Vonage is not able to text. So there's a texting problem with Vonage. So I can't even text right now. And I'm sorry to some of you that have sent in a request and I wasn't respond back to you. But hopefully we'll get the Vonage fixed soon. Hopefully we'll get it fixed soon. Now, KK, what happened with your case? You need to tell me what happened. Jessica, I'd like to hear more from you. Definitely welcome Jessica and Akima Richardson. She sometimes goes by KK, so it's either one or the other. So anyway, she's a loving person and a proud person, and I thought things were going good to getting her kids back. And it's been really a struggle there. It really has been a struggle. CPS, you'll find, is a struggle. When I told you that I was involved in CPS, I had a lot of tragedies in it. I lost my home because I used the money to quick sell my home to get an attorney, who is Mr. Davis. And I want to say at this time, many thanks to you, Mr. Davis, for all that you do, the podcast, the extra. He puts in so much time into your case. I realize having an attorney and retaining an attorney is a hard financial burden. And believe me, it was for me because I tried to use the court-appointed attorney. And the court-appointed attorney, the problem is two areas. One, they don't have any time for you because they got a caseload of 30 or more. And two, they're only schooled in the art of criminal law, not the art of dependency law, family law. Juveniles and families and dependency go hand in hand, and they're not schooled in that. So you're going to get an attorney that, will not do very much. They can't meet with you outside of the courtroom. It's like I met my first court-appointed attorney at the courtroom in the hallway, and she talked for 5 minutes. And that's it. In Orange County, they don't allow people in the courtrooms, which is really sad because I think it all should be visible to the parents. They don't even let the children, are not in the courtroom. And the parent, I don't know why this secretive goes on. Well, I know why. They want to make money. And the only way they can make money is to be secret about it. And they certainly don't encourage the children and say, oh, the parents are working hard to take a parenting class. Or your mom who had a drug problem is going through rehab. And we're going to get you kids back home with your parents. They don't talk like that. I don't know what's wrong with the social workers. Well, I know why they're hiding it, because they need the money. The longer they keep you in foster care, the more money they're going to make. And it's all about the dollar. And it shouldn't be, because, Child Protection Service was created by Congress to protect our children from neglect and abuse, not to make money off families or take children needlessly out of the home and put them into danger. My 3 children, young children, were in school, and they were in grade school. One was in elementary school, and it was a state art school. It had glass walls so you could see the teacher teach. And, it was really, it was a very high level elementary school. And even at that level, my son was in a STEM program where he was taking a science class, a technology class, engineering class, and a math class. They did that at the elementary school he was going to. My daughter, it was at the middle school, and both these are public schools, and they're excellent. She was also in the STEM program, and then we had her son go to a private high school that I was paying until I lost my job, and then I had to get help from relatives to keep him in the school. But he was involved in taking AP history, AP physics. He was taking, all these advanced placement classes for college, and so it was really, they were well protected in school. I don't understand this need for social workers. Well, I know why, because they want to get the money. I keep saying I don't know why, but the answer is the money part. And my case was horrible. My case was horrible because even with visitations, they got worse and worse and worse. At first, we could visit our children without supervision, but then they later wanted supervision, and it's got worse and worse. And the children were taught not to love their parents. They were taught in their group home, my 3 children were, not to hug the parents when they came to see them, to put your hands at your side. It was really cruel how the child protection system was alienating your children from you. And alienation is against the law, but they don't care about the law. They don't care about your civil rights or your constitutional rights. If you really want to know what CPS is, if you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, you're like Alice. You've fallen in the rabbit hole in the garden, and you met the Cheshire cat, and the cat tells you to go to this room and that room, and each room is more bizarre than the last. And so that's what you're doing with the child protection system. And that's why I have rule number 1 is you need an attorney. And I just, it's very important you get that attorney, because that attorney will represent you, and he's got to be the right kind of attorney. If you heard the beginning of my program, Vincent Davis gave a spiel about his Zoom meeting on Saturday. It's a free meeting to learn about techniques about how to fight CPS. And, he does that every Saturday. He's not charging you all that. He has a school you can join for free that has all kinds of insights. So there is help out there. You just got to ask yourself for it. And I know how hard it must be, Akima, right now to tell me what had happened, because I know you too well. But I understand it will take time. And Jessica, it's fine if you don't want to tell me where you're from. That's great. And you don't want to text me anything I can help you with. But I'm glad you're in the room. I'm glad all of you are in the room and listening and taking notes. And yes, I'm talking about my case, which was really bad, very bad, disappointment. Everything I know about CPS involved my case. And I wish I knew what I knew now, because I never would have been involved with CPS. You see, it started when I lost my job, when lay people, and these were my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, her 3 sisters and brothers, were calling in from Ohio once a week saying something wrong with what we were taking care of our children. Like we weren't paying the utility bills, we weren't feeding them, we weren't taking them to school. All these things which were very untrue. And for 5 years, I'd meet with them. I even showed them the house, and they could see nothing wrong. But every time they received a phone call, they had to investigate. And I know that week after week, 52 weeks a year, times 5 years is a lot of weeks there that these in-laws are calling about us parents, trying to get the children. They were only interested in children because our children are beautiful children. And I guess I guess their grandpa and grandma wanted them, so I don't know. I didn't find out about that too much later. If I knew then, they would never have done what they did. But I certainly went through hell for 5 years, and needlessly so. And at first I didn't have an attorney. I used a court-appointed attorney. I learned the hard way. Um, I did get two of my three children back. And that was after a couple years. That was in December 2018. Oh, excuse me, 17. But what was so hard those 3 years there is the fighting them and how they wanted to procrastinate and go so long, so slow. So my case was sad because here was an agency that I believed in corrupting. They were corrupting our children, and I'll never forget the day that they hired a policeman to have a detective track me down, and then followed me, and eventually forced me to go to my home. Didn't force me. I did not know my constitutional rights or my civil rights. I did not know about a warrant or about saying no to policemen or social workers. I talked to both of them. Um, so I proceeded to do the best I could at the time, not knowing things. And when that terrible day, they came, um, the police followed me and forced me to go to my home. And in front of my home were these horrific extra people. There was the 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 2 uniformed policemen, 3 social workers, and a detective. And they were definitely trying to find something because they couldn't find anything before. And unfortunately, my dad had died in 2013. My mom was not doing well. And they'd asked me, can you take her belongings and give them to family and friends? So I took them to my home. And that was a big mistake because I put them all in the living room. That's a lot of belongings they had, 55 years and 3,000 square feet, but I stacked them neatly and organizing. I never had the boxes or the furniture higher than the children. So that was really, really a hard thing when they go through your home in their combat boots and dirty up your white furniture. I mean, they stepped on my rattan chair in the bedroom and broke it and said nothing about it. Like, that's your tough luck. We can go around and kick you. They're terrible. That's why I say my rule 3, you never let them in the house. You don't answer your door. And there's only certain ways they can come in your house. Now, going back to the attorney, which is the one you need to get, is that you need that attorney present at all proceedings. That's your constitutional right. You're allowed representation at all your proceedings. And they don't have to be a court appointed attorney. They can be an attorney trained in dependency law. And it's like, um, so anyway, they took my kids to that terrible shelter. And they've said that you're neglect because you have too many boxes and too much furniture. They didn't care about that you had lost your job, had no income for storage, didn't care that your mom was dying or your dad had died and they had all his belongings. I look back and I say to myself, that was a horrible, horrible experience. And I'm not trying to drag the room down talking about my story, but sometimes I do. It gets worse in my case. I did hire Mr. Davis, which was the smartest thing I ever did because his 35 years of experience really showed. He's a pit bull attorney. He knows how to fight CPS. In fact, he's done lawsuits, civil lawsuits against CPS, both in the state and the federal courts. He's won millions of dollars, and he is also a trial attorney. So there's several ways you can actually talk to Mr. Davis. As I mentioned earlier about, being a guest on my show. If you're a guest on my show, I can give you 15 minutes with Mr. Davis for no charge. A private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. All you have to do is be a guest on my podcast. And then I'll have you contact my show producer and she takes care of setting you up. And furthermore, if you make a phone call, you're also eligible for a free 15-minute session with Mr. Davis. Now, that's unbelievable that you can get a 15-minute private consultation with Mr. Davis, who knows everything is about CPS. He's one of the leading CPS persons. You can retain him. So, all you can call the law offices. He can do your case whether you are locally. He works out of Arcadia, but he has cases in the LA County part of California, the Orange County part of California, San Bernardino part of California. He also has a case in Northern California and one at Oklahoma. He'll do other states. He can practice laws in every other state there. So, besides a 15-minute private consultation you can do for free, and again, that's simple to set up. And it's something that you really should think about because you need help. It is a complex organization. They lie, they cheat, they retaliate. They're very corrupt. Social workers are corrupt. There's a group of social workers in Prescott, Arizona, which is a small town, but they have a they have a child protection system there. They call it DCS, Department of Children's Services. But apparently the social workers who had 25 years of experience together decided to buy pink t-shirts. Now, pink, the color pink with the ribbon, I think is a symbol of breast cancer awareness. And so I was wondering if that was the purpose, but no, they stenciled on the front, professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put, parents, do you know where your children are at? And they proceeded to parade with these t-shirts, all 8 of them, all women, parade at Walmart and Kmart and Target and Best Buy, all the big department stores. And They were sending out a very terrible message, and they were caught at it. See, Prescott is known for 4 movies to call Billy Jack movies. And that was a 60s, 70s time period. And it's more about political activism and about the Indian movement. Um, the Indians have always been deprived, and so many treaties have been broken, and they have been murdered and slaughtered over countless battles and countless times. Um, I know a lot about the American Indians. I've studied them, especially the Lakota Sioux, because my ancestors are Lakota Sioux. I have a great great grandmother who's 100% Lakota Sioux from the Rosebud Reservation. And so, I've been trying to learn, everybody tries to learn where they came from and how they do the things there. So, anyway, um, this attorney, Vincent Davis, besides the free consultation, I've also got him to do a 30-minute private consultation, and he will do it for a nominal charge of $60, $2 a minute. And you can talk to him for 30 minutes. All you have to do is go to the website, https candidly, candidly, it's messed up here, CALENDLY.com /apps APPTSVWD /Bob Pace. And go into the website. You would just use your credit card and reserve a time to talk to him, a meeting there. And so you can set up that time with you, and he will talk to you. He will talk to you about strategies. He'll talk to you how this fights CPS. One moment, room. Okay, I'm back. I am broadcasting from home, and I have family members, and I needed to ask them a question or stuff there. So, I have a new invite to guests to the studios. Save this link to your guests. Okay. Anyway, I have a thing that just popped up. I'll have to talk to my show producer more about that link and what I can do to show it. But anyway, you can talk to Vincent Davis by going to that website. Not talk to the website, but reserve a private consultation there at that website. And it's being screened across the bottom of my screen as a ticket there. So I'm offering that. So now there's another way you can talk to Mr. Davis. You can retain him, and he will talk to you about the retainer and so forth. Because you need an attorney to fight CPS. I was going nowhere fighting on my own or fighting with a court-appointed attorney. I tried. I went to the director of CPS in Orange County and got nowhere. His personal office is like the Taj Mahal of India, or the Emerald City of Oz. My wife and I both sat and tried to talk to him, but through no avail. He brought his cronies, his alleged supervisors that were showing so much compassion they wanted to help. Instead, it made my case worse. By me pointing out that CPS was wrong what they're doing, by them doing illegal things and violating my rights, they made our life miserable and harder. So it was a terrible, terrible experience. So I'm telling you, um, take advantage of either the 15-minute private free consultation or the 30-minute private consultation with him. Um, that's really, really good there. Now, I have about um, 10 minutes, and I've yet to hear anything more from Akima Richardson. I know you're really discouraged. You may not want to talk about it, but she was doing so well fighting them in Brooklyn, New York. But apparently, something has come up. And it's probably, it's so sad. CPS works like this: they build you up, and so you start to feel comfortable and happy, and they take you down. It's like us. We started out with visiting our kids. My wife would see our daughter, and we'd see that. Then they stopped. My wife seeing her daughter. Then they started putting restrictions on how we see our parents. We actually had to go. We could no longer see them in the group home, and we had to go and see them at a special center where you have these young people doing a job and staring over your shoulder, making sure you do not say anything to your children. It's a miserable existence with the visitation. Plus, it costs money for the transportation. You see, they try to drain you. If you're already a broke and having a hard time, you're gonna have to pick up transportation and all kinds of things. They give you bus passes, but to take a bus pass to CPS office involves several transfers and involves a couple hours each way. So if you have a meeting with them, you're going to spend 4 hours there and 4 hours back. That's 8 hours. Anyway, getting an attorney does help, and I did that. And he was able to get our two boys back, but I lost our daughter through a retaliation by a social worker. This social worker was so bad. She was young. She didn't have a college degree, no high school degree. She didn't mentor with the other social workers. She was thrown into the thing as an expert in CPS. She tried to work as a clinical psychologist. She doesn't have a clinical psychology degree. That's sad. So many of these social workers think they have all this power. And their goal is for incentives and bonuses. She would talk about the bonuses, incentives, saying, I got a new Gucci purse this week. All she was interested was her Gucci purse or her eyelashes or her accessories, clothing or her BMW car. I'll never forget that. That's all she cared about. That's all she cared about. What was sad, though, is that we had her on the court stand. She was testifying underneath oath, and we were discussing the possibility of our daughter being adopted. Not a guardianship, but adopted. She wanted to adopt our child. Adoption, we don't want to give away our children. Now, a temporary guardian may have been something that could have been worked out, but it seemed our case was getting worse. In the beginning, it was a lot easier, but in the end, it got really bad. And so I really saw the writing on the wall when she lied underneath oath that the parents that wanted to adopt our daughter, my wife's sister and husband, were painted like they were great parents. There was asked by my attorney, Vincent Davis, did they have any domestic violence? And she said, no, they're beautiful parents. So she committed perjury on the stand because he popped out in a folder in his briefcase about a half-inch thick of 30-some reports of domestic violence at their home. And it was not just arguments, it was physical alterations. There was physical domestic violence. And that was the environment they're going to put her daughter in. Well, we won the case. We kept her daughter from being adopted by my wife's sister, but we lost the war. We won the battle, but lost the war. And what it was, this social worker was so callous and so mean. A young 20-some-year-old girl who was not married, didn't have a family of her own, knew nothing about family services, said to us parents, you'll never see your daughter again. And what she did is she told her 12-year-old daughter, you're of age to be emancipated from your family. And so she divorced her mom, her dad, her two brothers, her in-laws, her grandparents, not in-laws, but grandparents, and her aunts and uncles and cousins. She was no longer a member of our household. Further, to cause more wound she erased her name like her name never existed. She had a beautiful first, middle, and last name. She shared our last name. Her middle name was a beautiful place that we love so much. So she eliminated those three things and created a new name that she created herself. And then she sealed her birth certificate. She was told to seal her birth certificate and got adopted by a foster care parent. She wanted to be adopted. And they got a new birth certificate and have her listed as their biological child. How can two parents who conceive a child, give birth to a child, no longer be the biological parents? How can foster care parents claim that they are the biological parents? But now they have a birth certificate and a new social security card. It was sad. The whole thing was sad. Now, my two sons still try to see our daughter and keep in touch, but our older family, our older kids, they've been ruined. They've been poisoned by what happened. They've stayed away. They don't talk to us. Our oldest son, who is a brilliant guy and teaches a lesson about rape. He was born out of rape from my wife's first kid, and it tells you, you do not do abortion. That man is contributing to the world by being an excellent lawyer. He's a JAG lawyer in the United States Air Force and holds the rank of major. And yes, practicing law. And he does around the world, and he's pretty good at doing what he does. But there's a good example about people saying they should be able to abort rape victims. And I'm not here to talk about abortion because my views are different than probably all of yours. Because I think the idea of even doing abortion should be a mother and the father's decision. Even if they're not married, the biological parents should make the decision together with the help of professionals trained. And they make the decision whether they want to terminate the baby. It should not be for birth control purposes. Definitely rule that out. But I don't think older statesmen or women should determine the life of a mother. Now, I know that that is probably wrong because there's a religious um, faith that believes that no abortion should ever take place. No abortion should ever take place. So there is all these different things. So anyway, she was taken from us. And I'm going to end on that sad note. I'm sorry to end on that sad note because my time's up. I've talked for a good hour. And I want to thank Okima for dropping in. I still don't know what had happened, KK, but please come back this afternoon at 4 o'clock. That's my next time I'm going to be on. Also, I like to hear from Jessica G. Moore. I welcome you in this room and thank you both. I want you all to follow your case and fight for CPS. Don't give up. And please follow me, and I'll be on again. And I care about you all. So if you want to come back into the room and talk some more, I'd love to help you because there's got to be a light at the tunnel. So God bless you all. And I will leave you with a message from Vincent Davis. This is Bob Pace.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.